Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, FF family. As always, my name is Dylan, your host today for the Freedom Finances podcast. Today is, oh my gosh. Stop, that's your fault. You're doing it. I looked at you and you're like hand motioning. Today's Tuesday, October. Yeah, I know. Like, what are you, West Side? Today, everybody, today is Tuesday, October 14th, episode 32. Kind of a heavy topic today, gentlemen. We're talking about what happens when you lose your job. I thought this was a good scenario to bring up because, especially with the economic climate we have right now, I felt like this was a real scenario that people could take advantage of. And we have two fine gentlemen here that are really good at navigating that scenario, making sure you're prepped before, during, and after that to make sure you're set up for success when something bad happens. Start us off with, like I said, my name is Dylan. I'll be your host today. I'm going to be alongside of Bradley and Nick. As always, gentlemen with the FF family, appreciate you so much. Let's get started on here. It's going to be kind of a gloomy topic, so I wanted to bring back an old faithful. Let's start off nice. Let's start off something what's going good in your life. I want to hear. We haven't had one of these in a hot minute. So, Nick, I'm going to start off with you. What do you got for us?
Let's see. Something good. I just went and had a kind of a date day with my wife this weekend. We went to this thing called Apple Butter Fair. Which,
oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had apple butter, but it's really good. And then they sell you a bunch of stuff in little booths. And then we went and did some golfing at the, what is it, Top Golf or Big Shots or whatever it is. And then we went and saw the new Tron movie.
You and five people. That's awesome.
I know, right? It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it was just a fun day out with the wife. So
nice.
Just me and her all day long. Had a good time.
Awesome. I'll go next. Couple things. One, I guess kind of like the soft launch of FF Media. I really been enjoying doing reviews and having us have a different angle with our team. So if you are unaware, the FF brand has gone out to Freedom Frontiers Media. We're on YouTube, pretty much any platform. Honestly, if you go out there, if you're looking for us, you'll find us. We have a lot of video game movie reviews right now. Might branch out into more, and that's been really fun to enjoy. And I was talking about the other thing is I talked about it with the gentleman here about some weight goals. I talked about it before. I just hit flat 200 on here for my weight. It's doing really well. So a few more pounds, and I reached my goal in under a year. So I've been doing really well. So hopefully we get a good, it'll be about 55 pounds I've lost. So
nice.
I'm really looking forward to that. So Bradley, what you got for us?
You know, I've been really enjoying Colorado, as I've talked about a lot, but there's something special about Colorado when it stays, anytime the sun is out, you're hot if you're in the sun. So earlier in the morning, we're in a desert-ish climate, although it's not necessarily the desert, but when you go out in the sun, it's very dry. It was 49 degrees in the morning because overnight it gets really cold, but then it gets warm. But I went outside for a walk. It was 49 degrees in the morning, but I was hot because the sun was on me. Anyways, my point is beautiful in Colorado. It's been sunny every day, and it's back to being 70. It gets really cold at night in the winters, but going for a lot of walks so that way I can enjoy the outdoor life. And I'm like you guys, I'm from the Midwest, but when I moved to Colorado, everyone's like, oh, I like to walk my dogs and go for walks and hikes. I'm like, you guys are losers. But now I'm kind of like that. I just want to be outside and all that. So I'm enjoying the Colorado life.
Nice. I'm definitely under sort of the opposite because it's been hot again here. We're back up to 80s now.
Nice.
In mid-October. So that's that's pretty awful. Anyway, let's get started today. Glad that we can talk about this. Before we get into the preventative news of, unfortunately, if you've lost your job, I want to start about the government shutdown. We're all the old corral here. We got guns pointed at each other, looking down the aisle. No one knows and can agree on, and we're shut down, baby. We don't have no idea when the government's going to come back on. I believe I've heard headlines, it's going to be the longest government shutdown ever. Yeah. That's what's going to happen right there. So let's start off with how are things going with this? I want to see how we got here. Why are we here again? Bradley, start us off. What do you feel like?
Well, how we got here is pretty simple. Government shutdowns actually happen quite a bit. So each time it happens, it usually shows up in the media, and it's especially against whoever's in charge, right? So depending on who's the majority in Congress, or what party is the president, it's usually the other side that really bashes the shutdown, right? And you'll even say they'll add the word Republican, Democrat, Trump, or Schumer in front of government shutdown. Like, it's a very political tactic. But I mean, it's essentially who's going to pass the budget first. It's like if you guys have a budget at your house between you and your wife, and you can't agree on the budget, you say, other than essentials, we're not spending any money. We'll eat food, we'll buy gas for the car, we'll pay our insurance, but we're not spending any money other than that, right? That's what the government shutdown is. So emergency services, air traffic control, the army, they're still working. It's just like the little stuff, not necessarily the little stuff, but a lot of the bureaucracies aren't really moving. And I talked about this, like, reporting is down because it's not a government essential. So we don't know and won't know what the unemployment rate necessarily is because no one's keeping track of it, which is kind of a funny thing if you think about it.
Kind of ironic.
Yeah,
sure.
it really is. Like, we don't know, like, we can look at numbers and do some math and figure out what the inflation rate is, but we don't know technically. And a lot of times, let's be honest, when we do know, we find out we get it corrected a year later, which we've been finding out has happened. So it's not the end of the world. And in fact, 99% of the world probably doesn't even know. Like, if you don't read the news, you wouldn't know that it's happening.
Yeah, because I think a common misconception we have is like the government shutdown, it just means nothing's happening. I've heard that before. Like,
Yeah.
the post office doesn't work. I mean, it's all essentials that still go on, but you're correct. And that is kind of scary, because there are government employees that have lost their jobs. There's been reports of Trump fulfilling promises of cutting jobs during the shutdown.
Yeah, yeah.
And a few departments have. I think CDC was hit, special education, the education department's been hit.
Yeah.
So there's definitely crackdowns, and that can. Hey, if you're listening, that's happened. We're gonna have some topics for you. But Nick, what's your take on what's going on right now?
Yeah, I think it's crazy because this has happened a lot. If you look back in our history,
Yeah,
like the
it does.
government shuts down all the time, and
Yeah.
it's always this big thing. And it's funny when you describe it like as a relationship, right? Like you and your wife can't decide on the family budget, so you're like, we're not going to spend any money. How is that a bad thing? We're $37 trillion
I was
in
thinking
debt,
that.
and we're like, oh, we can't figure out what to spend our money on. Okay, we're not going to spend any money, and people are mad. Like, no, good. We should do
Yeah.
this more often. Like, we're only going to spend it on essential stuff. Good. Like, yes, you're starting to realize what a budget is. It is only spending on essential things. So I would hope this is the long. Like, don't get me wrong. It was something I think like 120,000 jobs lost because of I think you were
Yeah.
talking about people losing jobs, and that sucks. I don't want anybody to like lose their job, but as a nation, if we're trying to manage debt, I think only doing essential spending is important. And the next question is, why do we have so much non-essential
Yeah.
things in the
Yeah.
first place?
Yeah.
Why is the taxpayer paying for these non-essential things when we're talking about the national debt is crazy? We got to get spending under control. Like, why don't we start there? If you can shut down the government and
Yeah.
everything still runs for the most part, maybe those things don't need to be
Right.
taxpayer funded. If there's a commercial or private, firm that wants to take on those duties, then cool. But like, why is the government funding all these things that are non-essential in the first place for a government shutdown to even like be a big deal? I don't know. To me, it
I
doesn't
agree.
make any sense. I think it just highlights,
Yeah.
if I'm being honest.
One thing.
I think the. Oh, good.
Go ahead, Dylan.
Well, I was going to say, when we're talking about our non-essential, some things that have been shut down, I mean, it mostly comes down to like the education departments or Social Security that get shut down when it comes to those. And like we talked about earlier, reporting standpoints, they're needed. I agree that I think the shutdown piece where people are getting furloughed, it if they're non-essential and we're shutting them down and actually stopping them, it seems like that's pretty important. So it does seem like to me, outside looking in, we're just like taking people's lives and just using those bargaining chips during this to just choose
Well,
them to,
I
to
think
shut down.
I think that is kind of part of the problem is that like our government has created this system where it's like you have to work for the government now. And when the government eventually shuts down, we're saying, okay, the government has shut down, now people don't have jobs. Like the government is here to protect us, to keep things running, but mainly to protect us and protect our rights, and keep our infrastructure. But then they're saying like there's so many people working for the government that we have to keep it open, and it kind of like gets that emotional social justice part of us like, dang, there are people out there without jobs, so they're like it has to happen because people don't have jobs anymore. But like Nick said, why are there so many unimportant jobs? Second, I know it's in the Constitution, but do we know all the lawmakers, everyone in Congress still gets paid during this? So
Yep.
it's no big deal for them. I still
They
get
have
paid.
no furloughing for them.
Imagine
They're,
that.
they're, they're
Imagine
still ready.
Imagine you work for a job and you're like, I can't figure out the budget. The company's still going to keep going. None of the workers get paid, but I still get paid. I don't have to do any work. That's awesome. That's the best job in the world. You don't have to do anything. You still get paid. So I think that's something, regardless of what you believe, kind of is like, well, sucks for everyone else. Like, I bet it wouldn't happen if the lawmakers didn't get paid, right? I think we can all agree on that, right? If no one got
100%.
paid, the lawmakers, then they would keep it open.
Yeah,
They
because at
keep
that
talking
point in
about.
time. Oh, go ahead.
They keep talking about AI taking jobs. Is that one that AI could take over? Maybe the budget? Is that a possibility?
I mean, at least it would read the bills that they're presenting. That would be nice. It could read it
Write a
in general.
bill for me about this situation. Yeah.
All right.
Really, honestly, like we're fine, And right now the biggest point of empathy is, well, the people who aren't getting paid because they work in the government and they're non-essential aren't fine. But I think to Nick's point, like maybe we shouldn't have so many government jobs that cause $37 trillion in debt.
Well, and what do normal companies do when they have non-essential employees? They lay them off.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
why is it different? Like, the government's acting in that same capacity. Like,
Yeah.
they just don't lay them off. Like, I don't know. It just seems weird. I don't like it.
Yeah, but I mean, on the other hand of it, when they're identifying as non-essential, it's once again the reporting that we rely on when we're talking about having to do like job unemployment, right? Like we
Yeah.
do need that. It's
Okay,
once again.
tell me this. If we didn't have employment numbers for a year, what would happen?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, I can
Nothing.
tell you nothing because we had employment numbers for a year and they were all retracted for 18 months and we realized they were all wrong. We all moved on, right? It wasn't like, holy crap, all our bank accounts got less. We got less jobs. The stock market crashed. Nothing.
Is there?
Now, it's not good practice. I'm saying, it's just,
But it doesn't actually
it's
do
not like
anything.
that's how we should run. But I'm saying that's the definition of non-essential.
Makes sense. And with that, so I think when we're talking about just the shutdown in general, what happens in the instance that this continues for another 2 weeks? Nick, do you have any ideas? So when we're talking about it, minus being a government employee, like for yourself, I think we've kind of harped on it. But also for them, do they ever get paid for any of this? Like after it's done?
The employees that are furloughed?
Yeah.
I think, and Bradley, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they go through the same like kind of furlough unemployment kind of process, and you get like a percentage of your pay
Yeah.
depending on how long it goes for. Because I know when COVID hit and we were impacted by furloughs, that was kind of like they encourage you to go through that process. So I would imagine it's the same for federal employees. I don't know for a fact, but that's what I would guess.
Some people get paid. Some people, they write in the shutdowns, like we may or may not be able to pay them. Like right now, between President Trump and Congress, they're trying to work on a contract to get our soldiers paid. Some will get back pay, some won't. Some will have to go through the furlough process, like you said, Nick. So depending on who you are, you may or may not get paid, and you may or may not get back pay. Like my brother, who's in the Air Force, like some shutdowns he's gotten paid for, some he hasn't, and some he's gotten back pay or late pay.
And with that too, another thing, because now I'm like kind of wondering more so like what happens when it's on here. So some of the examples, I think this is the closest thing I see to jobs that get cut or will pause. Like sometimes you see like library operations. I think that's pretty important for communities because those drive like. Sometimes they go into like food banks and
they're
things.
all in a way important, but essential, right? Like what happens if the library shuts down? Nothing.
People get bored sometimes.
Let me also ask this. When was the last time one of you went to the library?
It's been a minute.
Yeah, right?
Right, but I mean, you could also make the argument for anything that we do. When's the last time you were able to do one of those, right?
What do you mean?
So like there could be a time where I was like, well, the library, for example, but there could be something we do and they'd be like, okay, what if you weren't able to that? You're going to be okay. I mean, it matters to people. That's all I'm saying.
Well, so we need to define like essential to keep things going, society going, extremely essential, or else there's anarchy. And then
that's very fair. Yeah.
Things that are nice to have. And then things that make us a luxury first world country. Right.
You know what? Because the other thing that brings it up too is that a lot of what they define as necessary or not is kind of vague too. Yeah. A lot of these, there's also like it's an umbrella of here's research development that they have like a whole R&D, and it's just vague. It doesn't explain what they do. So
I think it's a deeper problem too of just government spending without any checks and balances. Why, like libraries? Why does the government have to provide libraries if it's an essential service? Why can't a private company monetize that and create like that's economics, right? Supply and demand. If there's a demand for it,
federal government. That's more specific. Well, like the federal government provides libraries for us.
That just doesn't make any sense. If the people want a library, they should pay for it, and it should be able to make a profit and stuff. Like, why does the government have to? They have to provide my roads. They have to provide, different sorts of services. But like, what? Like, are they going to go and provide me a shopping mall too? Like, where does it stop? You know what I mean? Like, why is that the government's place? That's where I kind of have problems with it. Is not that I'm not saying it's a valuable service. I just don't know why it has to be tax funded.
Listen, you've heard it here on Freedom Finances. Nick is a libertarian. I'm just putting it out there.
I personally don't find it a problem. The government, my taxes go to making kids educated, but that's just me, I guess. Right, I don't think that's
how many kids do you guys know that are going to the library?
They have library in schools. What do you mean?
Anyways, I agree with you, Nick. That we're $37 trillion in debt, and the people who have put us in debt can't agree on spending the money.
Right.
Now, going into that topic, so does this, the other part of the question, does this really affect us? And so we've kind of hinted at it already. I'm pretty sure consensus is we'll live. Life continues. Even these options that are deemed unnecessary will continue at some point, whether it be a week from now, next Monday, it'll continue. It has continued every time we've had a shutdown. I think the longest was like 2 weeks, something like that, if I'm not mistaken.
Days.
I was going to say.
Oh, was it? Yeah, okay, I couldn't remember that one. So those all came back. So it's kind of a moot point to even worry about it. We have had programs come back afterwards. It'll be okay. That being said, let's look at a perspective from one of these workers. And among many Americans and people across the world that are losing their jobs right now, I think it's a good opportunity to talk about how we can prevent that in the future. So I want to talk about this in an aspect of past, present, and future, right? So let's start from the past. We put ourselves in the shoes of an employee who hasn't gotten fired yet. It will happen. We don't know. So let's say that we are just on a day to day. Two questions. Should I be worried at any point and prepare for that if it happens? And two, what does it look like to prepare? So either one of you can take from this point.
Yeah, I'll jump in if that's cool. But I
Yeah.
think one, yeah, you should always be worried about it, right? Like people romanticize the relationship with their employer, but at the end of the day, like if it saves them a buck, they'll get rid of it. You know what I mean? Like you have to have that mentality because there's not like nobody's putting your employer's name on your tombstone, right? And so like you have to live like, how do I make sure I'm taken care of, my family's taken care of and stuff like that. And like, how do you do that? You make yourself valuable. You do self-improvement, you go back to school, you learn new skills, you find ways to add value to your employer. Like you just continue to, improve yourself. So that way, if you do find yourself in a situation without a job, like you've built up a set of skills, you don't become irrelevant. I've seen so many people that are in this job that, let's use the library example, right? I've been a librarian for so long, I lose my job. I have no other skill set. I can't contribute into the marketplace and I find myself in a really bad spot. But if you're like, hey, I've got this degree, I have this skill set, like you can go and find something else. So I'd say, even if you're like, hey, I'm super secure in this, continue to stay up to date with the technologies, any new upcoming products and services and stuff like that, and continue to learn and just make sure that you yourself are a value add to multiple different industries in case something like that were to happen would be my advice.
Yeah. And two things. One with what you're saying, Dylan, I know you didn't mean it this way, but it's not like we're in this really heavy period of unemployment. Like people aren't just getting laid off left and right. Like the employment's pretty strong.
Pause. You're really bad right now.
Okay.
I can barely understand you. Sorry.
I can see that. And I don't know why. Hang on.
Yes. You should turn
I don't
it off your baseball.
I don't have baseball on.
Okay.
That I just saw that same thing. It's like when I move fast or something. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like catch up.
I've closed anything.
All right, your last. I don't know if you remember, but the last thing you're talking about is I didn't mean it this way.
Okay.
I don't know where
back?
you're going.
Am I good?
You seem
I think
okay.
so.
Okay. Anyways, number one, what I was saying is like I know you didn't mean this, Dylan, but like we're not in a heavy period of unemployment. People aren't getting laid off left and right. Like, yeah, sometimes like when we read certain things, you can focus on that and it seems like we are, but the economy's pretty strong. The job market's strong. But two, I do think you should consider that you could get laid off at any time, but I wouldn't say you should always be worried, right? I would say a better thing is be prepared.
Yes.
What?
I completely agree because I was agreeing with you.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, I won't do that
No,
again.
it was Nick. Nick said something. I didn't hear him.
No.
Oh, okay. Because you're correct. Because it's the difference between like your emotional investment into what's happening. If you're always worried, you're gonna more likely make mistakes, make irrational purchases, or like not enjoy life at some points, right?
Yeah.
It's definitely like a reaction or as a response, and that's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So overall, we've talked about, and you both have answered this. Be prepared with your skills in the event that it does happen. And always look into ways that you can be mindset focused if it does. I guess the last thing, what financial advice would you give in the event that you're trying to be like, okay, might happen because we're in the good mind space now. It's going to happen. It might happen, might not. What do I do right now? Bradley, what do you think?
I think that like the first thing you should do, regardless, but let's say you get that feeling that you might be laid off soon, get your budget together, know how much you're spending, know how much is coming in, know what will happen if you don't have a job, right? Because if you don't have a job, you don't have income. Like there's a lot of like, we look at YouTube, like if you're watching this video, you probably watch YouTube videos on finance advice. But really, how do you make your money? You get a job, right? And then you save your money. That's how we get our money. So What happens if you don't have your job? You can calculate that pretty easy. We have a budget at freedomfinances.org. Start a budget. It's easy to use. Google Sheets, Excel, it's free. But you need to know what's coming in. And if you're listening to this, just do it regardless. But if you have a feeling it's coming up, get ready and then talk, right? What can I cut? Like what spending, what subscription services, how much money am I spending on the additional stuff? And think like the government shutdown. What's my essentials? What's my non-essentials, right? In the government shutdown, we're still getting taxed during the government shutdown.
What?
We're still getting taxed during the government shutdown.
No
Just
way.
saying. We're still paying. They're just not spent, like, whatever. Anyways, but think like that. Like, what do I have to live? Rent, food, insurance, gas, all that stuff. You have to have it, right? You have to pay for school for kids, whatever it is. And then what is the extra stuff? How much extra am I spending on food that I don't have to have? Just know what you have and what you need to slow down on.
Cool. And I think that's a good mindset because which way you do it, it's just you're able to live your life and you're able to be focused in the event that happens. Nick, did you have something on there?
Yeah, no, I just think if you operate in a way that you're not like, I think people have this thing where the more money you make, the more you spend, right? Your lifestyle just kind of adjusts with whatever you make. If you can get to a certain level where anything extra just goes into like saving and you don't actually increase your lifestyle, I think you can have more of a nest egg. And if your income does drop, you've already kind of maintained a lifestyle that's more consistent and manageable. So I would encourage you just at all times, live beneath your means, find ways to be able to be frugal and, buy that used car instead of a brand new one and just do things that, just because you have the money doesn't mean you have to spend the money, get used to saving and stuff like that. And coming into Bradley's point, know like how much do you have? How long could you last without a job? Because when you do lose a job, you have to make a choice, right? Do you quickly find a lower paying job or do you spend a little bit more time? So like you want to be able to afford to make better decisions if that happens. And you can, there's a pressure that you have when you've got to pay your mortgage or your rent versus like, hey, I've got enough, you can make different decisions. So I would just say give yourself that breathing room by reducing the spending that you do and increase your savings. So
perfect. All right. Thank you for that, gentlemen. I appreciate it. Good mindset, good planning for the future. Enjoy your life. We've hit the point now where you got that call. HR sent you an email. You got a phone call, something happened, you have an impromptu Teams meeting that you need to attend, right? Here we go.
It usually says business updates.
Yeah, organizational. Is it organizational updates?
Oh, yeah,
is what they call it.
Yeah, right.
I love that one. That's a good one. Reorganization. So you get that, you walk in, it's happened. You can go get your stuff. You're out today. You get paid for 2 weeks. Maybe you get a severance, whatever happens, right? Let's assume you just get paid for your 2 weeks. We've had the good mindset coming into this. It's happened. What's next? Nick, talk to me about it.
Yeah, so there's going to be a lot of different things like flying through your mind. Like, what do I do? You're going to have options available for you and things like that. I think where I would caution people is you got to have like an order of operations, right? When you get let go, you have the option of like going into your 401k and doing things like that, right? Where I would say you want to know like, hey, what do I have in my short-term savings? What do I have maybe invested that I could potentially sell to use? And like, what's the order of like finances that you want to get as you need them? Because you want to save things like retirement for, I would say, almost last case scenario, if possible, right?
Yeah.
I would say if I start to dip into retirement funds, maybe a Roth IRA first as far as contributions, because those aren't like taxed or extra fees. And so you want to know like, hey, what's my order of operations? When do I tap into these funds? Like, you want to kind of break that down to Bradley's point, like budget, but to the nth degree, right? Like, really factor in, hey, worst case scenario, if I can't find a job in 12 months, how do I kind of use up my resources? And then I'd also start taking a look at non-essentials. What kind of equity do you have in your car, and is there something that you could downgrade to if possible? Not necessarily like go and do that right away, but like, hey, at what point do I make this decision if I haven't been able to replace my income? And that's where I'd say I would really focus on that first couple of weeks, is just like, what's my order of operations if, like, just, stuff hits the fan, and I can't find a job. And hopefully you've put yourself in a position where you have enough time. You don't have to start doing that right away, but you can kind of be like, hey, I can live off this savings for 3 months. And then if I haven't found anything, then I can tap into this, and kind of just understanding and not just trying to do everything all at once. Cause I think you might find yourself, draining your 401k, getting hit with taxes, and doing it at a time where you're in a higher tax bracket because it's at the end of the year and you've already made all this money this year, like different things like that. So being able to take some time and really figure out that, I'd say is going to be your first priority.
Okay. Bradley, what do you think?
Before I go on, I think Nick, have you ever been laid off?
No, I've been fired. I have not been laid off.
What'd you get fired for?
I was working at a gas station, and the girls' basketball team went to state, and I wanted to go watch them play. And they said, if you do, we'll fire you. And I did it.
Well, it sounds like they did it, actually, but yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
They fired me after that.
So you haven't been laid off. You've been fired for conduct.
Yeah.
Got it.
We got the best people on FF right now.
I was just thinking about the essentials and non-essentials job and the government. And I think about Nick, all three of us at one point worked for T-Mobile. 2 of 3 of us have been laid off. We already know it's not Nick because he said he hasn't been laid off.
Spoiler alert.
Dylan and I both had non-essential jobs, right? Dylan, in 10 seconds or less, what was your job that you got laid off from?
Reporting on the call center experience with our employees.
Okay. So I just realized I may have triggered you a second ago when I said reporting is an essential job and they shouldn't.
I mean,
that was a joke.
It's been like 3 years
I know,
ago. You know what I mean?
Joke,
I forgot.
It all came full circle.
Yeah.
Second, my job was leadership development. Obviously, like we talked about with the government, like a luxury, but T-Mobile is fine, right? They're not like, oh crap, like our sales are in the crapper, our stocks have plummeted because we don't have local reporting and leadership development anymore, right? So, like, I just thought about that, like, if you have, the closer you are to sales and customers, the safer you are. Always. No one's ever fully safe. But I used to tell this people, when I was a leadership development manager, I used to tell people, like, if you want to promote and go off and do this fun things that's off of the phones, or you take less escalations as a leader, awesome, cool, you'll get paid well. But every time you do it and every time you go up, you're more and more likely to have a risky job that's more and more likely to get laid off. So I think that's a good way for you to look at your job and realize, how close am I to getting laid off? How often did frontline employees get laid off at T-Mobile? Never, right?
None.
It was never frontline employees. Sometimes they would stop hiring frontline employees if they quit. But think about your job. If you're in sales or connected to the customer some way, you're more and more essential. And it's like this, like the closer you are to the CEO, the riskier your job is, right? The higher risk, higher reward. It's like a really good stock. The more money coming in, the more likely you are to lose it. And I think that's an important part of your mentality. I'm not saying don't try to achieve more. You should. But the more you achieve, the more money you have to save, to spend on other things, but to put into your 401k, to put in your emergency fund. But you also have to know your job is getting riskier, right? So that's just something that's important. The bigger your salary, the more expendable you are. Period. So if you get laid off, likely it feels like you're screwed. My first advice is take the next day. Take a day off. And that's what I did. I think Dylan, when you or I got laid off, we're like, I'm taking a day or two.
That's the first thing. That was the first thing you told me to do.
Yep.
Well, I guess breathe.
Yeah.
Then
Relax, because I mean, what are you gonna do? Go apply for? I mean, you could go apply for a job if it's urgent. I get it, but like take a day for yourself, not like a mental health day. Just relax for a minute. And then if you don't have that budget, get that budget. I'm saying before you apply for jobs, figure out your budget, spend an hour or 2 hours or whatever it takes, whether you're by yourself, your husband, your wife, whomever, figure out your budget immediately. It's like red alert, high priority. You should see something flashing saying budget, 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 budget. And then figure out where you are. And like Nick said, that's how you know, do I have 2 weeks or do I have 2 months?
Yep. And it's very simple when you can look outside, and then when it happens to you, it's a different story. But as someone that took that advice and did it, I was okay.
Yeah.
Like we found the line. It was
Yeah.
okay. Yes, there were stressful moments. Yes, there was times where I didn't think it was going to work, but it will. You
Also,
will.
sorry.
No, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, take advantage of the things that you have at hand. Unemployment is like an insurance. You pay into unemployment forever as long as you have a job. So if you get unemployed because of a layoff, apply for unemployment benefits. Like that's an insurance program that you've paid for. It's a government run insurance program, so who knows how efficient it is, but you paid into it. Get that money back to help you through.
Can I just ask, is there still like a stigma on stuff? Because like if I had no money, I'd be in the food stamp line, right?
I don't know, Nick. The government kind of helps with food stamps like the library, so I don't know if you'll like that or not.
To be clear, do you still get food stamps and Social Security when the government's shut down?
You do.
You do.
Yes.
Why?
I don't know
Why
why
are
that
you
just happened.
Congratulations! You're
So-
the next winner on food stamps.
So Dylan, your point doesn't hold any water because you still get those things.
Wow.
I was really invested on that point too. You checkmated me for sure.
You're welcome.
So
Sometimes you play chess and you don't care if you win or not, but you lost.
You lost.
all right,
Wow.
this was a great episode, everybody. I'm glad you all showed up.
Okay.
But okay, honestly, good topics. Thank you. I think it's something that everyone can take serious time to actually
Yeah.
listen
Oh,
to and invest in. Now we're at the future. We're getting to obviously, so we're in the middle of unemployment in this scenario. Everything else the same. Got the right mindset. Got some time. We've got at least 6 months, right? Of we can look for a job. Now that this has just happened, what on this point, I've taken that time, Bradley. I've gotten the break I need. What's the direction I go to? So do I just job hunt every day? Do I spend 8 hours as my new job? Like, what do I do here?
I would say it depends on your urgency, just like Nick said. Like you've done your budget. Hopefully you haven't taken too many days. Like, if you took a couple weeks, hopefully it's only because you have the luxury of a couple weeks. But you should be spending a few hours every day looking for a job. Especially after a couple weeks. I know I did. I spent hundreds of hours looking for jobs. Not every month, or every week, but I spent a lot of time looking for jobs. It should be part of your life, and treat it like a job. Don't get stressed out. Don't get burnt out. You still should treat it like it's your job, and this is your priority, right? Find side gigs. You can do AI work, like train AI pretty easily. You can do neighborhood gigs if you have a certain skill. But like find some way to make some money if you need it. But yeah, like after a couple days, you do need to be spending hours a day looking for a job. You're like from the beginning of time, from the beginning of man, like we had to work. We will always have to work. There's very few rich people in this world, and there's very few people who don't have to work. Even the rich people, like we may bash on them all the time, they work, right? Do they have luxuries we don't have? Yes, but you have to work. So, like, don't stress out about it. Just know you're working. That's your job right now. You're working. You're working towards your next job. So, should I be working 8 hours a day? I don't know. I don't know if you need to spend exactly 8 hours a day looking for a job. You may run out of jobs to apply for, but spend a couple hours every day. Yeah.
Got it. Nick, what's your advice?
Yeah, I think the only thing I would maybe even offer a different viewpoint on is the urgency, because I think it depends on your situation,
Yeah.
your job, and things like that. For example, I live in Springfield, Missouri, and it's not a huge town. It's not a tiny town. It's an average sized town. But our call center employs maybe 550 full-time employees. If that call center were to close down, the number of people entering that marketplace the entire city would be saturated. And I think if you're taking some time, that time could be the difference between, because everybody's going to take time. You know what I mean?
Nice.
You've been working for years. Everybody wants that kind of break. But if you've got a ton of people entering one specific workforce, you being the first one might be better for you. And so I would say, if you have the luxury of being able to like wait, cool. If not, maybe you do have to kind of jump on it. I think of that movie Fun with Dick and Jane. If you haven't seen it, great movie. Jim Carrey. I think they go a little crazy not being able to find a job, but
Yeah.
like
True.
they start running into like everybody is trying to apply for these jobs, and
Yeah.
they're competing for very limited things and stuff like that. So maybe you do what everybody else isn't doing, and like that same day start getting your whoever you've got relationships with or connections and trying to find something. I would say in the situation that, let's say we're a few months down the road or whatever, I don't know, it could be a blessing in disguise. I will tell you, like personally myself, I've been in like a corporate type of working environment pretty much my entire life for probably the last 20 years. And I've always wanted to like go off and do something on my own, maybe a side hustle or a business or something like that. Maybe you can take this as an opportunity to try some of those things. If you
Yeah.
found yourself in a position to be able to, afford your expenses and stuff, maybe it's an opportunity to go and, do something that you wouldn't have otherwise have done. But I know there's always that balance of I've got to pay my bills and I want to like try different things and stuff like that. So I can't stress, the more you can prepare to not have that stress, I think that's where people start to struggle, is just like, hey, I have to make a decision. I've got to go and, I got to go run up and work at the grocery store up the street because I'm going to be kicked out. My electric's going to be turned off, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, you've got to, I guess you lower your standards the more that the urgency is. So if you can, it's really more about the pre-work of just don't make it so you have to be so urgent that you just have to take anything. But yeah, maybe it's an opportunity to go out and, try something you wouldn't have otherwise done because you were too scared or nervous about striking it out on your own. But it's like, hey, I got nothing to lose now. Why not give it a shot?
Have either of you seen the movie Up in the Air?
I don't
That
think
sounds
so.
familiar, but no.
It's with George Clooney plays like he's a guy who companies hire to lay people off for them. So
Oh, I've seen
Is this
clips.
the
It's got that
airport
girl in it,
thing?
right?
he goes, I mean, he goes to certain places that some of it takes place on a plane, but he goes to certain companies and goes and lays people off. So there's a scene when he's laying someone off who's worked there for like 30 or 40 years, and obviously it's tragic, like it's like sad, funny, dark comedy kind of, but like the guy's like, what am I supposed to do? And he's like, what were you gonna do before you got this corporate office job? And he's like, weren't you gonna be a chef? Go be a chef or something. And it made me think of what you said, Nick. That's how FF started. That's how Freedom Finances started. A couple years ago, I got laid off and I applied for 800 jobs. I stopped tracking after about 650. And I was like, I still want to help people in the meantime, And now, like, we're growing. We have podcasts, YouTube, website. So, you know, will I need a job? Like, will this last? Who knows? Hopefully not. You know, hopefully I won't need a job and this will last. To be clear, um, but yeah, like that's a good point. You know, go do something you couldn't do if you can afford it.
I was gonna say there is
Yeah.
a limit.
Yeah,
Like you still have to be realistic,
you still
regardless
need
of
money.
like
You still
your
need an
background,
income.
political stance. You still live in a society
Yes,
where
you
you
still
need
have to
Benjamins
pay
to
the
pay your
bills.
rent, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless you live off the grid, then congratulations. I don't know how you're watching this at that point,
Good
but
point.
anyway,
At the library.
at the
Hey, but
library,
you're not,
baby.
because you know.
Oh yeah,
Right. Ooh, too soon, Nick. Yikes.
Go.
Oh, trigger warning, Nick. Libraries. I know that's a
Oh.
tough one. But all right, team. Well, I appreciate everybody on here. I want to. I just want to wrap us up today with just some thoughts on this myself. We've kind of talked about their perspective on this, so I just wanted to end with my words of wisdom on this, which is take. It's a mix of everything. Both of these guys had helped me at some point when it happened to me, and it's happened to me multiple times. I've been severed twice now in my career. It's tough. The economy hasn't been the best at every point, and that's rough, right? But what I did was I just made sure to always save. I don't spend frugalously. I know this looks like a lot, but it's a lot of thrift stores and stuff. And so it's a lot of that, finding deals where it's here.
Yeah.
But I don't spend. I don't have a new car every year, Nick. And I've had the same one for years, and it's the only one I've ever had. Just take a moment when it happens to you to realize, obviously, all the advice we gave, but also take a moment that it's not you. Sort of like a breakup, where they say it's not you, it's me. It's your job. It doesn't demean you as a person. You're not a lesser person because it happens to you, right? It's just economic scenarios, something with the company, and if it's because your position is getting eliminated, it's not something you did. So don't take it like that. It's not something you should beat yourself up for. So that's my advice when it comes to it from a person's perspective.
Yeah.
Um,
And with your point, Dylan, that it's not you, we experience this at T-Mobile. Companies like expand and contract, expand, and when you're in that cycle, you hate your company for doing it. But every company ever, forever in the history of the world has done it. They've grown and they've realized they spent too much money, so they contract. They grow and they contract, and it doesn't stop regardless of the company. It doesn't matter if you're Apple, Tesla, Nvidia, they're going to grow, realize they're spending too much money, and the biggest thing you spend money on is people, and contract. It
Yep.
sucks to get stuck in that loop, but it happens to nearly everyone at one point in time. Unless you're Nick and you like to chase the girls' basketball club, and then you just get fired off. It is you.
That sounded a lot worse. If you just tuned in to the episode of this, you somehow got that
If you
part
somehow
off.
skip to the last 43
Yeah.
minutes of it.
Yeah.
Nick chasing girls at the basketball club.
All right. And Nick, what do you got to end this with today?
I would just say I think the prospect of getting laid off can be scary to some people, but and to your point, Dylan, it's not you. And I think you should realize that before it happens. You shouldn't be so attached to a job that you feel like, oh my God, I'm not good enough, and that's what I mean. Like at the end of the day, it's a job, it's business. We need to put that relationship in perspective. And like your job is not who you are; it's something that you do.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a difference between like pride in what you're doing and then your
Sure.
value as a person, right?
100%. Yeah, it's not they're not putting your employer's name on your tombstone. Like the things that are important in your life are your family, your friends, your hobbies, the things you enjoy. It's and if those things happen to tie into the work that you do, that's phenomenal and that's awesome. But for most people, your job is just something that you do, and you should make preparations just in case, because you can't always predict what's going to happen, but you can put up processes in place to be better prepared if it does happen. So I would just say, And the good news is if you do these things and you never get laid off, all you did was put yourself in a better financial situation anyways. Oh, dang, that sucks. You know, so
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Good point.
All right, gentlemen. Well, like I said, I thought today was a good topic to bring up because it is something, while the economy can show growth, people are getting affected every day. But I mean, it happens all the time. This is a real example we can work through that I thought that people deserve to hear from us to give you a real shot at being okay when this occurs to you. With that being said, I appreciate you guys for showing up today. Thanks for always being guiding lights for our viewers when it comes to this. As always, my name is Dylan. I was here with Bradley and Nick. Just wanted to wish you all a happy good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I appreciate this. And like I said, I hope everyone has a great day. Thanks for coming on. Peace.
Adios.
there you go.